This is the AM News. Welcome to the program. Let's begin. President Akufo-Addo has, for the first time, admitted to the challenges in the energy sector that has forced many to live without electricity, sometimes for days, and has grounded a halt some businesses that are heavily dependent on electricity. He was speaking at the recommissioning of the Ameri power plant, which is now called Kumasi 1 Thermal Power Plant in the Ashanti region.
It is my expectation that with enhanced electricity supply, these enterprises will expand and offer further employment opportunities to our youth. Ladies and gentlemen, in the course of the last 7 years, my government has had the opportunity to translate promises and assurances into result-orientated projects, especially as the Ghanaian people have in clear and absolute terms demanded results that will transform the country for all. One such commitment is the delivery of affordable and reliable electricity to drive our nation's industrialization agenda and position Ghana to become a net exporter of electricity in the ECOWAS region. Our national electrification rate of 88.8% is one of the highest on the continent, and the goal is to have full electricity access by the end of this year. In the areas of power generation, transmission, and distribution, my government has made and continues to make significant investments towards the provision of reliable and competitively priced electricity to assure economic growth. This is part of our commitment to realizing the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I do acknowledge Regional Minister for Energy, ladies and gentlemen, and Nananom, the challenges that the people of Ashanti and indeed of other parts of the country have had to endure in very recent times over the supply of power. And I can only thank you for the patience you have exhibited in the face of these challenges.
Now, Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh took on naysayers who, he said, doubted they could pull this project off.
Now, the Akufo-Addo nti ebi esi enewie. Nokre obinya sebia anko obeye bi. Obinya sebia ontimi nya bi nti ena de osua wasa no osa no wachia nepa. Ghana, bari bebre adwo we bi esi ho. Eso bi amusa se aden na ekọ ho. Ebi se soja ama Ghana yira. Esi wa akosombo Kwame Nkrumah breso. Esi wa akuse champo abreso. Ebua. Esi wa bui President Akufo abreso. Esi ewo takrade President Ronald abreso. Ada na the bank Akufo-Addo the serious Kumasi a o se Kumasi for ada na ye bie. There be Ghana na ye chechire. Ghana na ye chechire. Sa ene awie ya ba he. Sa anyinam kane ya ye bie he. Sa de VI for kan no. Sa anya no krani Brody Baka every 2014 and agree ko for the VI for nyina hu say ye pese anyinam kane agina ya e wo se share say eye bi wo Ghana mfimfiri ha Asante man mu nyina enso so menka say obi mpese oye o de wa ye ne ye bodidi de wa ye na Addo dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Moving on, the Free SHS initiative stands as a prominent political campaign commitment in Ghana's Fourth Republic, ranking at the forefront of the Akufo-Addo's administration flagship programs. Moving forward to 2024, both President Akufo-Addo and Education Minister Yaw-Osei Duchum have claimed that the total number of beneficiaries has surpassed 5 million. But how accurate is this arithmetic? JoyNews Research Desk has more in the following analysis.
The Free Senior High School initiative stands as a prominent political campaign commitment in Ghana's Fourth Republic, ranking at the forefront of the Akufo-Addo administration's flagship programs. The program's implementation began in September 2017, targeting first-year students in public senior high schools and technical vocational institutions. Importantly, any Ghanaian child placed in a public second cycle institution through the computerized school selection and placement system during the 2017 school placement process became entitled to benefit from the Free Senior High School initiative. By December 6, 2017, the Ministry of Education's program-based budget revealed that a total of 359,023 beneficiaries were enrolled in the program. These included first-year students in public senior high and technical schools, consisting of 117,926 day students and 241,094 boarding students. Moving forward to 2024, both President Akufo-Addo and Education Minister have made claims that the total number of beneficiaries have surpassed 5 million. This assertion has sparked controversy and raised questions about the accurate count of beneficiaries since the program's inception. During the launch of the Smart School project on March 25th, the president, when he mounted the stage to speak, reiterated the total number of beneficiaries under the Free Senior High School program.
5.10 million children having so far benefited from this SHS policy since it was instituted in September 2017.
On the same podium, the president and his education minister could not sing from the same hymn book as they gave varying accounts of the total number of beneficiaries under the program. In fact, there was a discrepancy between the figures provided by the president and his education minister, Dr. Yaw-Osei Duchum.
When it was said free senior high school was impossible, the government went ahead to prove otherwise, and today, some 5.7 million children who are our own children, brothers and sisters, have benefited from the program.
The difference in numbers has raised suspicion regarding the actual total number of beneficiaries under the Free Senior High School program, adding to the existing confusion surrounding the reported figure of 5 million beneficiaries. Let's approach this analysis by focusing on one of President Akufo-Addo's statements.
Some 503,000 children enter senior high school this year, the highest ever enrollment of children into senior high school in a single year in our history.
This raises significant question. If the current enrollment of 503,000 is indeed the highest in Ghana's history, then how is it possible for over 5 million children to have benefited from the program in just 6 academic years? Unless the government is using a different methodology, it is difficult to understand how the total beneficiaries in 6 years could surpass 5 million when the highest enrollment in the period under review does not even reach 600,000. Even if the highest enrollment of 503,000 was recorded in all 6 academic years, the total number of children covered by the Free Senior High School program will not exceed 3.1 million. In fact, according to data from the Free Senior High School Secretariat, the total number of enrollment, including both senior high schools and technical and vocational education training from 2017 to 2021-2022 academic year was 2,089,430. Even if we generously use the president's highest enrollment figure of 503,000 for the remainder of the years, the total number would not still add up to 5 million mentioned by the president and his education minister. So, how did the government arrive at the 5.7 million total beneficiary statistics? Could it be that each child was counted multiple times for each year spent under the program? Definitely, government needs to provide a transparent explanation for these arithmetic discrepancies.
So there you have it, fact-checking the free senior high school policy. But in other news, the National Petroleum Authority, Custom Preventive Service, the National Security and other stakeholders are racing against time to salvage crude oil from a vessel reported to have split up en route to Tema. The incident is reported to have occurred on Friday around Old Ningo, where the vessel was forced to do an emergency docking while on its way to offload crude oil at the Tema port. Public Relations Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Abdul Kudus Mohammed, tells JoyNews evacuation efforts are still underway to prevent a possible spillage.
The information I have does not speak directly to the reason for the problem that the ship developed. It says that we had an information, or call it a request, for an emergency evacuation of the crude oil in that vessel because of the mechanical fault that it generated, and that would not allow it to reach its intended place for betting and discharging. And so the approval was granted to their request, and the relevant organizations that play role in this particular matter of fuel importation and discharge were all invited and played various roles in having to have the product evacuated. So it was the crude oil meant for one of the refineries in Accra, and so after the permission was granted, PRVs were arranged by the refinery to have the fuel evacuated to the intended location, that is around Sprintex by Aquaba refinery. And so basically that was that they needed the approval. The approval was granted. The evacuation was actually being done, and that was to salvage the product from actually going waste.
Now, government has commenced an active search for private partners to help complete the abandoned Saglemi affordable housing project commenced under the ND's NDC administration. The project has been entangled in allegations of corruption, with the former Works and Housing Minister Collins Dauda standing trial. The project, which is at various stages of completion, have had some fittings, including burglar-proof materials, plumbing works and others. At the site, either vandalized or stolen, government is targeting about $100 million from private sectors. Now, speaking at an event to invite proposals from the private sector, Kojo Nkrumah said Ghanaians were tired of abandoned housing projects when the housing deficit is ballooning.
I want to ask you to execute this task with the highest level of patriotism and professionalism. So I want to ask you to bring to this task your highest level of patriotism and professionalism as it is deserved or required. Let the desire to do our best for our republic show as you go through this process. My final point to you is that Ghanaians want the phenomenon of uncompleted or abandoned mass housing projects to come to an end. To date, some of the projects from the Akufo era are still uncompleted and hanging. This one is still yet to be completed. And it adds to the narrative that we don't finish projects when we start. If we have a housing deficit of 1.8 million that we are trying to reduce as the years go by, already there are about 40,000 units a year that we deliver as a country. It's not enough to close the gap. So if all of these projects keep hanging out there, it will even deter future projects from being embarked upon. And that's why it's important that we take advantage of this opportunity to reverse this trend. And so I charge you to go through this process with all the professionalism, patriotism, and transparency as you have outlined in your report to me.
The Ghana Armed Forces say ending stereotyping and having more females in the force requires a holistic approach with the support of other stakeholders, including families. at a sensitization campaign in Sunyani by the Kofi-Addo International Peacekeeping Training Center on career opportunities within the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel Dr. Mohammed Wombe, Command Logistics and Gender Advisor at the Army Training Command in Teshi, Accra, says steps have been taken paving the way for females in the force to rise to the top and therefore encourage more to join. Precious Semevo has more.
The Kofi-Addo International Peacekeeping Training Center and the LC Initiative, in collaboration with the Ghana Armed Forces, have sensitized over 500 selected students from schools in the Bono region, including St. James, Odumasiman, and host Sunyani Secondary School, on career opportunities and misconceptions about taking up a career in the forces. Adelaide Ekua-Otu, Senior Program Officer, Women, Youth, Peace and Security Institute at KIPTC, said the sensitization focused on implementing the United Nations Security Council resolutions 1325 and 2250.
Specifically on issues of peacekeeping, we seek to promote the implementation of the agenda by ensuring that we have women forming part of peacekeeping operations. So that is why we are here working with the armed forces, encouraging young girls to join the armed forces, but to also join through the combat and combat support roles, because that gives them new opportunities and actually greater opportunities in building a career within the armed forces that will ensure that we can get these young girls, when they join the military, to grow through the ranks and attain leadership positions.
CPO-1 Lydia Ya Eninfo, sharing her experiences in the Navy, said disciplinary standards motivated her to join. She charged the students to embrace the opportunities in the forces that also enhance family life. Colonel Dr. Mohammed Wombe, Command Logistics and Gender Advisor at the Army Training Command in Teshi, Accra, said all hands should be on deck to end stereotyping women who desire to join the forces.
Probably when we finish with the second cycle institutions, we will begin to go to the general public, even reaching out to families, because we reckon that our traditional value system and our traditional customs creates fertile ground for some of these stereotypes. But with education like what we have done, it is possible that we can overcome. The military itself as an institution has its own values, customs and tradition, which we are making conscious efforts to overcome, to make way for the female to participate in decision making.
Here are some of the students.
With this meeting we had, I've gotten a lot of courage. At first I heard you can't get married when you go into the military service. But now I know you can get married. You can engage in family activities.
Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
But still on empowering women, a new research initiative has been launched to monitor and empower young women in the creative arts sector, aiming to build their capacity, promote female participation and leadership. The research being carried out in 7 African countries seeks to transform the industry into a gold mine for young women, emphasizing capacity building and collaboration with policymakers and industry stakeholders. There's more in this report.
Ghana is Gold Coast, yes, but the creative sector is also a gold mine because of the potential it has to offer. But how are women doing in this sector, specifically young women? And this is the objective of the research. We know that
an associate professor at the University of Cape Coast and former director of the Center for Gender and Advocacy and Research Development at UCC, Professor JoyNews, outlining the aims and impact the research will have on the creative arts sector, especially on young women. She says the broader goal of the research is to turn the industry into a gold mine.
Another key objective has to do with the young people themselves. So the research aims at building their capacity. And you realize that it's on gender, but we have both men and women, so it's not skewed to only women when it comes to the participation. So this is going to be a 3-year project. We are now starting in 2024 and hope to end in 2026. And in this room, we have policymakers like the Ministry of Gender, because we are looking at gendered phenomenon. We have the National Youth Authority, because we are looking at young people. We have the creative sector, because it involves them. And the reason why we have these policymakers in this space is so as to inform policy. We don't want a research who will be shelved at the end of the day, or just for academics to write our academic papers, but to inform policy, to inform advocacy.
A senior research scientist at the International Center for Research on Women, Marian Oma, underscored the impact of the research considering how she says women are marginalized in the sector.
So there is Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Senegal, and Nigeria. And so what we know is that it's a growing industry. It's $1 billion industry, a really large industry. But then women who get their livelihood out of this sector may not be getting it to their full, So with this project, first of all, we aim to equip young researchers, especially or the youth, youth researchers with skills, knowledge and capacity to carry out research with a gender lens. Second, we hope that the research findings are going to inform policy in the various countries.
The creative arts players share their perspective on the entire project.
So as creatives, we suffer a lot in the industry when it comes to allocation of budgets, when it comes to even attention on us. But I feel like creatives are doing so much to help alleviate all the stress that is on us as Ghanaians. So I feel like with this project, what we are seeking to particularly do is to amplify the voices of creators and to create jobs.
We live in a generation where social media has taken over, and almost everybody wants to be that next influencer, everybody wants to be, and so there need to be a proper programming, proper policing, so that all genders have a fair share, so it doesn't look like one gender has an upper hand even in that sector.
Once this research is about women, it's going to help us identify such women in the industry and give us opportunity to have a lot of people to look up to in the industry, because there are a lot of people who want to do stuff in the creative industry, but they don't know who to look up to, who to talk to, or who to go to.
From the institution I come from, the National Commission on Culture, which is a policy-making institution, we believe that the project and the outcome would serve as a very significant source to inform policy formulation and even to the extent of legal frameworks within the creative space in Ghana.
The research project outdoored is expected to explore multiple methods to reach outcomes that will enhance the growth of the creative arts sector.
And now for our final story for this bulletin, let's do Tech Thursday. Ghanaian primary and pre-tertiary students have started building robots that can compete on the global stage through the study of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. With STEM education having been identified as a subject that sharpens the mind of students, these children have also developed easy-to-play mobile games and are hoping to win gold for Ghana when they represent the country at the 2024 VEX Robotics World Championship in the United States later this month.
Artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm. Our everyday lives are gradually being influenced by AI. STEM education has started gaining grounds in Ghana, with kids being taught how to build robots from an early age. Through hands-on experience and guidance from dedicated coaches from Bountiful STEM Educational Foundation, these kids have honed their skills in coding, engineering, and problem-solving to develop sophisticated robots capable of competing at a global level. They are confident of their chances when they participate in the 2024 VEX Robotics World Championship.
Well, to compete with other people from all over the world, I think us as Ghanaians, we are going to do very well. We've been practicing and we've been training for so long that I think when we go there, we are really going to be able to perform. We were in a whole team. The team, everybody has their specialities. We have drivers, we have designers, we have their builders. So like everybody with their own speciality. All the drivers went to one side, all the designers went to one side, and all the builders went to one side. Because I'm a designer, me and my other colleagues who are also designers, we designed these ideas. We then gave the design to the builders to translate it into the physical VEX pieces. After that, we all came together to build the robots. This robot was built in 3 parts: the drivetrain, the bucket, and the roller.
When I started, I was taken to VEX IQ. So I wasn't able to go for the competitions, but all I can see, we built something that was like, let's say, a robot moved. So we attached wheels under it. So for a standing figure, I would have looked like this, which will be moving, could talk, and then sense other people around it.
So far, we've been creating robots. I've created a drivetrain, a clawbot, and then last year the competition we went, yes, I was part of the builders who made that robot, and then this year too, I helped build the robot. I want to become a specialized engineer in the future.
Co-founder of Bountiful STEM Educational Foundation, Seth Ogoayim, expressed satisfaction with the progress STEM education has made in Ghana.
Most parents are enrolling their children because, one, they've seen improvement not only because of COVID. The kids are developing critical thinking skills. They are becoming good at managing their time and resources and continued learning. And most important, our program teaches the children to be able to overcome challenges. Even when there's failure, it's part of the program for you to understand. And then we have this principle that each child have the opportunity to grow. So over the year, it's not about just going for the competition. We're preparing these students to be a critical thinker, problem solver, and most importantly, lifelong learners.
The parents of some of the children enrolled at the Bountiful STEM Educational Foundation have seen positive changes in their kids' attitudes towards studies and the ability to build robots and develop mobile games.
Yeah, so for the girl, when she came, so they had to download some softwares. And that was the beginning of their coding. They downloaded some softwares called Scratch. So she started using it to learn how to design video games. So in the house, she was able to design some video games for the younger brother to play, right? And they also learned how to, I think that was part of engineering, build small cars, so you see, they've taught them to, and I remember the last time we were going, they were saying that they should find problems in the society. So they're looking at what problems are there and how will they solve those problems.
I think the experience has been very great, very, very great in terms of their mental capacity to think and the ability to do homeworks even without supervision. So I think that is a very nice program. This program, when you actually join this program, is not just merely learning technology, but it's more like learning project management and technology in addition.
As they set their sights on the competition ahead, these students are poised to make their mark on the world stage, proving that the future of robotics belongs to those who dare to dream and strive for greatness.
It's good to see Ghanaian students making great strides in the world of technology. Thanks for staying. It's the end of the AM News. Up next is the news review. Please keep watching.